As a Helderberg College graduate, I always thought I would contribute to the college one way or another when I finish graduation and when I'm working. And I always thought it would be in a financial way, or perhaps I'd come back and lecture a subject or two. Little did I know that my knowledge and experience in the corporate sector is what I would be contributing as an employee. So when I was invited to interview for this job, I thought to myself, well, what could it hurt to go back and see what they have to offer? And I left the interview knowing that I had to pray quite earnestly, and I confided in close friends and family because this was quite a leap to take. It seemed like a career-ending move. Why would someone want to leave their really great job in the corporate sector to come and work for an academic institution? Anyway, I prayed very hard about it and God opened the doors and He showed me that this is the place I needed to be. I had to give my talents and my skills that He equipped me with and give it back to the church. So I found myself coming all the way back into academia, which for a bubbly person like myself was also an adjustment. But I must say, being here at Helderberg, contributing in this significant way is important for me because there's a big task for us, and God impressed that on my heart. Well, while many would argue that we don't need to have a fundraising and a marketing person at an academic institution, I must say I slightly disagree. You see, many feel that the students and the staff members should be the ambassadors for the institution. And while I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment, they also need something to be able to market. They need to be an ambassador for something. So that is where I come in. I have to strategize and plan and ensure that what we do behind the scenes gives the staff the opportunity to be an ambassador for the college. So for example, in marketing, and I used to sit in these big meetings where, in my old job, where people said, but marketing is an expense, it's not an investment. And we had to remind them that we plan and strategize and make the product so creative and attractive that there is something for them to promote. So when it comes to marketing, that's the fundamental about it. And fundraising, we need money. We need money to make things better. We need money to improve, to restore. And what better way to fundraise? So that is my job. I have to strategize, I have to plan, I have to build relationships. There is someone that needs to do that job because it's a full-time job as well. Let me take, for example, a project that I'm working on at the moment. I would like to convert one of our barns into a conference center. Now, in order to do that, all the research needs to be done, not just legally, but feasibility. Where would we build this conference center? Is it feasible? Is it viable? I have to do that background research. Following on that, I have to find the right donors. Who would be interested in using this conference center? We want to double up and use it as a church as well. So I need to ensure that the research is done, that the correct donors are approached for this. And then of course, once the money has been brought in, I need to ensure that the correct reports are kept up to date, to ensure that the donors know how the money's been spent, how well the project is doing, all those timelines, that also needs to be done. So that is just a good example of how you need to fundraise and also market, because once a product is known, it has to be put out in the field. People have to know about it, and that's where my job comes in, marketing and fundraising. Well, I would summarize it into 3 broad categories. So we have student tuition and services, we have campus maintenance and restoration, and of course we have advancement and development. Now within the student tuition and services department, we're looking at what are the students busy with on campus? Are there services available on campus for the students, day students or dormitory students? Are their tuition fees too high, too low? What can we do to maintain that? Bursaries, that sort of thing. And then of course, when it comes to maintenance and restoration for the campus, how are we looking after our buildings? What needs to be maintained and what needs to be restored? And then of course, a third category would be advancement and development. So new educational programs, perhaps advancement of already existing infrastructure, and as well as adding new buildings, expanding and ensuring that the campus grows. Now, I thought this was our only problem. I thought we were the only Adventist institution in the world with these problems. But as I did more research, I realized that a lot of institutions around the world that belong to the church are also struggling to maintain these 3 different categories. So my dream would be for Adventist Development Directors Conference, where we all get together and we discuss what is the problem at our institution and how can we solve it. We brainstorm and we plan together, because if it's a worldwide problem that we face, there must be solutions if we get together. My father always taught me that there are two big assets that we have. That is our property and our knowledge. And I think the college has a lot of both. So when it comes to property, we've been situated on this campus for just over 90 years, being 125 years old, of course. But we have this beautiful land. We have open spaces, we have open fields, and I think this is a good asset that we should be working on. We should use this asset to make it work for us. And then the second asset we have is knowledge. We have so many people who have graduated from this institution, so many of them who carry so much knowledge, so much insight, and that is what I want to tap into. I want to be able to speak to people who have ideas, who have thoughts, who have suggestions, who have thought-provoking ideas to change this college, to take it to the next level. So I think assets such as our land and knowledge, those will take us a long way. That's quite a loaded question. I don't know if I can answer it simply, but as Ellen G. White has said before, there's a foundation that we need to go back to. And I believe that if we have the foundation right, then everything builds on there. So what I think, as an example, we could do is a good work-study program. So back in the day, a work-study program consisted of what the kids call now hard labor. And they used to work in the fields, but now they feel, why should we work in the field? Why should we plow the land? So I think there's a different way to look at it, at a work-study program, of course. A work-study program should be beneficial to the students as well as to the institution. So in modern day terms, beneficial means planning for your future, being able to pay for your studies with the work that you're doing. So if we could work out a work-study program where students are contributing to their own futures as well as paying for their studies, that would be more beneficial. So they'd still get that experience and learn to work hard for something than just sit back and expect things to happen and fall into their laps. So I think that employing a student to work for themselves is a great idea. Now, it is easier said than done, but I have a little thing called faith. And everything belongs to God and He wants us to thrive. So if we just have a little bit of faith and do what He wants us to do, I think anything's possible. We need a place where students can be prepared for not only this life on earth, but a life in heaven. A place where we prepare them for their careers that they need to have here on earth, but also form their characters for the life in heaven. So I think that's what institutions like Helderberg College does. Our Adventist institutions are there to mold a holistic person, to create people that have integrity, that are honest, and that are ready to know God and to go to heaven one day. So I think supporting Adventist education is so important because that's what we strive to do. The first and foremost thing is our mission. So our mission is to create people who love God and are ready for His second coming.